Don't you think it's time to say goodbye to those childhood friends of yours?
Marty, I'm scared.
It's finally time, fellas. The full trailer that I've been waiting for. And man, am I glad I didn't do a video on the rough cut, because holy crap. This video would have been out sooner, but this full trailer came out while I was in the middle of making that promo, because that 30-second promo was released before that big full trailer, so here we are. So the first 45 seconds or so from the trailer is basically just some recap scenes with points of dialogue from said scenes. Scenes from Marcy at the gates, the second temple, and reunion are showed, for example. The second half of this recap is all scenes from True Colors, ending it with Marcy's apology before getting into the Season 3 footage. Starting off with a quick shot from the Season 3 intro showing Anne and the Planners waking up in the middle of a road in LA, followed by the clip of Anne reuniting with her parents, which was shown as part of a sneak peek from the Amphibia x Owl House Comic-Con 2021 crossover. Next, we see some more shots of general LA, like a highway, a plane taking off, one of the wacky inflatable arm men from car dealerships, as well as another wide shot at the gang looking at the LA city. Reminded me a lot of when those guys first pulled up to Newtopia and saw the outside of it. I'm willing to bet all these general shots showing off LA are from the season premiere of The New Normal, making me think all these shots take place before the beginning of the sneak peek shown from Comic-Con. If not, then these could be used in a mini flashback style where these shots are on screen while Anne is narrating about how she found her way back to her house after teleporting back to LA. Next, we see some shots of Newtopia Castle still in the sky, although it's dark and rainy outside. Several Frobo are guarding the castle's exterior too. After that, we see Andres activating the box, teleporting the lanky Frobo shown in the Season 3 intro as well as the Season 3 poster. I don't want to say for sure these last two scenes are sequential, because sometimes trailers do that thing where they make two scenes look like they're connected, but they're not. But I feel like this one is more likely to be the case, which makes me think all four of these scenes would be from the episode And Terminator or maybe Temple Frogs. What's interesting though is that in the next clip when he tries to intercept the Boon Choice and the Planners on the highway, he's got a modified design, and I mentioned this in my previous promo video. He's now sporting a bulldozer-esque shovel for a left arm and a handled buzzsaw for the right leg. It's possible the two IT girls fixed him up without noticing he was a programmed killing machine, but I have another person in mind who I'll get to later. I love how Anne's father proceeds to gun it on the gas pedal too when he sees that thing blocking their path. Chad Boonchoy over here. Wait, so Grime threw Sasha out the window? What? I mean, I guess since it was a good way to escape, but like, Andres literally tail slammed her out the window in True Colors. I mean, where's the continuity, Matthew? I'm just kidding, it literally doesn't matter. There had to have been a large body of water to make that jump like that though, because that is a dangerous height. And with the episode Turning Point being a Sasha-focused episode, I think it's likely the beginning of Turning Point was with this scene. So these two are dating now, right? You're gonna look at that flower in Yunan's hair and tell me they're not? Copium. I initially thought it would be from Temple Frogs, but considering the synopsis for that episode is about the Boon Choice taking the Planners to the Thai Temple, I'm not sure how Yunan and Olivia would fit into that. But based off the red-eyed design on the temple entryway, this could perhaps be the entrance to the Knight's chamber where Marcy could be being held at the time. Which means we could learn a lot more about what the Knight is actually capable of and what its origins are and more. We then cut to Anne driving her family business Thai Go food truck with Spring in the car. So with the episode Thai Feud involving a food truck threatening the family business, this clip is taking place in that episode. But I wonder what could have transpired in this episode that would cause Anne, who's not even old enough to get her learner's permit, to not only drive her family's business vehicle, but drive it recklessly at that. It's very concerning stuff. Maybe the enemy food truck is chasing them. Next, we see Anne using her calamity powers in a junkyard of some kind, potentially fighting with the lanky Furbo to defeat it for good. This junkyard was another setting that was teased towards the end of the Season 3 opening. The only difference is Anne went full calamity form in that opening, but didn't seem to be using 100% of her powers in this new clip. And I say that because her hair didn't turn completely blue, nor did the leaves and roots reappear in her hair. This could mean Anne was actually able to hone 100% of the Bluestone's power, even though the majority of it had been drained. But that's a whole different can of worms I'm not trying to dive into right now. Seeing Anne's parents get geared up to help their daughter presumably defeat the lanky Furbo makes me so happy. I love how her parents are clearly going to be playing a major role this season and not just appearing as guest appearance type characters every now and then. And the reason I'm saying they're gearing up to help Anne is judging by the background through the car windows, it looks like they're in the same junkyard Anne was in the previous clip. This is followed by Anne being approached by the lady shown in the Season 3 intro with all the new human characters. I'm kind of embarrassed how I wasn't able to put two and two together sooner about her being a museum employee, since she's quite literally wearing a fossil patterned shirt. Really curious to see what kind of ally she'll be. Perhaps there's information about the Calamity Box or stone in this museum, and that's why Anne wants to rob it, according to the synopsis. After that, we see Polly doing a video chat with the currently dubbed IT girls, since that's what their online name is. I don't know what their actual names are yet. And we can see a modified inside Frobo in Polly's background, which I can only assume to be in the Boonchoy's garage. I still think this is from the episode Fixing Frobo. I'm just wondering if this version that Polly has in her background comes before or after the toy car form. I'm leaning more towards before because this more upscale version doesn't look like it's turned on. And even though we see a clip later showing it laid up, that could have easily been Polly's attempt to get him to turn on, but he could have easily short-circuited or something before fully turning on. In this form, not fully functioning is further backed up by the fact that he has a washing machine body and Sprig was dancing on a broken washing machine in the promo, so thus resulting in him taking on a smaller build with the toy car to being able to function. And this could be because Earth doesn't have the proper resources to return Frobo to his original state. Here we see Sasha back in Wartwood, specifically in the planter's basement, or I guess Anne's bedroom, and she picks up Anne's journal, which I bet is the same journal Anne used to write the lyrics to No Big Deal, as well as the costumes the girls were going to wear for their performance. I'm also willing to bet this journal contains entries about Anne's adventures throughout Amphibia, which would in turn include passages about Sasha and Marcy. So Sasha reading through this will lead to more self-reflection, which is what I live for. Her character's pacing is just so perfect. Here we see Marcy inside her recovery tube that Andreas placed her in before stabbing her, which of course was shown in the season 3 intro. Another shot of Anne using her calamity powers, likely from the same junkyard setting shown earlier based off the lighting, and this time she's honing her calamity powers solely into her fist like she did in the freezer. Once again, Deku, one for all. Very similar. And it's kind of crazy how Anne was able to cause such a huge explosion even when not fully transformed. Here we see Anne group hugging the Planter family in a comforting manner. She's also still wearing her armored chest plate, which means this scene takes place during the season premiere episode. Perhaps there's a point where the Boonchoy parents initially opposed the idea of the Planter staying with them, so Anne is comforting them, saying she'll help them however much she can. But of course, we all know they're going to be allowed to stay there. I mean, it's just a matter of how things are going to go at first. After this is a flashback of when Marcy first arrived in Newtopia, seeing a view of the city from Andreas' throne room. Marcy being in her school uniform still makes it pretty obvious this scene is from the past, so we might be getting a little bit of Marcy flashbacks here. Potentially from the episode Temple Frog, since that might be like half Marcy, half Anne and the Planners, but based on the synopsis, I'm still not sure. Continuing on that note, we see Lady Olivia hanging on to Yunnan, who's about to engage in combat against some Frobo. I'm willing to bet this scuffle takes place before they get to the Knight's potential chamber entrance, with these Frobos serving as security to prevent them from reaching it. This clip is a tricky one, because even though Hot Pop is wearing the same disguise here as he is in the season 3 intro clip with the museum, he's holding Domino and a cat carrier, which makes me lean towards this being from Adventures in Cat Sitting, especially considering that episode is about the Planners taking Domino to the vet, and that's the kind of carrier a cat is usually put in before being brought to a vet. Here we see Anne and her blue-haired ally, who I still think Kate Micucci will voice, kicking open a door only to be met with the FBI captain, RuPaul, his squad, and blonde assistant. They're really making RuPaul's character look like even more of a badass than I thought he'd be, and I'm so here for it. What other show can say they quite literally made an animated version of RuPaul, but as a government agent? The question is, where are they and why? Honestly, part of me thinks this is taking place at Fight at the Museum, with the blue-haired girl being another museum worker, maybe? And if Anne is really trying to rob the place, it would make sense that the FBI shows up. But she and RuPaul's character are the ones I'm least sure about when it comes to their roles in the plot right now, so. But at the same time, I'm more excited for because I'm so unsure, if that makes any sense. Here we see Hot Pop driving a golf cart down the street while getting shot at by something, potentially by the lanky Frobo before God's new form. We then see a super quick shot of Sasha and Wartwood holding her sword up. I'm willing to bet this is opposed to declare her resolve to protect Wartwood and its citizens in Anne's place, meaning this would take place after more self-reflecting thanks to Anne's journal entries. Anne is seen hiding from the lanky Frobo, but gets caught while the Planters are frozen solid due to all of them being in a meat locker of some kind, probably taking place before she goes calamity form on him. I'm just curious where they are in this meat locker. Is this like the freezer section of Tygo? Like, where are they?
Oh my god, it's Alfred Molina.
Remember when I said someone else may have been the one to repair lanky Frobo? Yeah, this guy could definitely fit the bill on that, with him supporting a mechanical arm and all. Also, Sprig completely covering his face and putting goggles on. They knew what they were doing with these costumes. Imagine if Alfred Molina actually voiced this guy. That'd be so hype. But maybe this is Brad Garrett's character, though. I'd be just as okay with that. Look at Sprig helping his fellow frog brethren. What a guy. This is the same walkway shown earlier when the Planners walked with Domino, meaning this would also likely be taking place in Adventures in Cat Sitting. After that, we see what looks like to be Andreas himself walking through the streets, crushing a car while doing so. No other characters in the show are that big and has those exact same colored pants. The only difference is the shoe design. This time his shoes are completely black with some wire-type laces on the back, whereas his original shoes are more armored design. Also, if you look really close, you can see Anne and the Planters posted up below the Christmas tree in the background. So this episode could actually be the Christmas special that Rebecca Sugar will be involved in. If that's the case, this episode might not be fully canon to the main plot, kind of like how the Halloween episode The Shut-In wasn't. So that big figure crushing the car being Andreas may be more likely as a result. But hey, maybe it's the giant Frobo that was teasing the intro. It looks like Yunnan and Olivia successfully rescued Marcy from the Knight, but something is in their way. Could it be the entity of the Knight itself or Andreas? I certainly hope so. We then see Calamity Anne, her parents, and the planners watching something disappear from the sky. Potentially sending the lanky Frobo back to Amphibia once and for all, or Andrus came to pick it up once again, threatening Anne with inevitable invasions. And I said this in my promo video, it seems like Andrus himself coming to Earth in the first half of the season, that feels a little early to me. But I mean, if it happens, I'm not gonna cry about it, you know, it's fine. This is followed by the gang driving home with Anne sleeping on her mother's shoulder, likely after finishing whatever business was done at the junkyard. The trailer ends with us hearing the Knight's voice for the first time trying to manipulate Marcy by saying, "Isn't it about time that she says goodbye to those childhood friends of hers?" Followed by a clip of the Knight successfully taking over Marcy's body. Night Marcy is canon! Let's go! But I feel like if the scene with Yunan and Olivia takes place after this, maybe they were able to actually free her, or at least temporarily free her before whatever made that light stopped them in their tracks. Either way, the Knight's getting a new body, and that is genuinely terrifying. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything I may have missed from this trailer, or if there's any theories / predictions you have based on the footage shown that I didn't already mention in this video, because I'd love to know your thoughts. Also, huge props to Jake Neutron, Chi-Chi, and everybody else who worked on this remix for No Big Deal for the trailer. Absolutely amazing job. You guys are awesome. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.